Good day, students. We are today talking about 3.2. All right, this is the Bohr model. But first, we must do the bell ringer for 3-1. So here it is right here. Hit pause, answer it, and meet me on page 18. Okay, so today's topic is the Bohr Model 3.2, page 18. We're continuing our talk kind of on the atom. We're going to learn one more model of the atom. We've learned our electron configurations in the last unit, and this unit we're going to go a little deeper, kind of map the elements out a little better, or the atoms. So we're going to jump right in with our Bohr model. As you saw in the video last week, he talked a little bit about Bohr. So let's just kind of jump right in. The Bohr model shows the layers of electrons. And so this helps us easily identify our valence electrons, and we'll get to that in just a couple of seconds. So this shows our different energy levels of the electrons. So within the atom, how are the electrons layered, if you will? So remember, our energy levels are like that, the big numbers out front on our electron configuration. So these are, we're going to call these layers of electrons. All right. For instance, radium would have 7 layers of electrons. Hydrogen only has that 1 layer of electrons, and they go up in energy as you move out. Then we have what is called our core electrons. Our core electrons are the inner level electrons. And these are not involved in bonding, so we're not super concerned with them. They do cause some property changes, and we might talk a little bit about that right before we get into Thanksgiving. But most of the time, we're going to spend avoiding kind of our core electrons because they don't do anything with bonding, and our focus is going to be mainly on bonding. So valence electrons then are our outer energy level electrons. And these, oops, I put an extra E there. These electrons are involved in bonding, and that is what we're super concerned about. We want to talk about bonding, and so that's why the Bohr model actually works. But unfortunately, the Bohr model has some limitations, all right, and we'll kind of talk about that just a little bit lower. So just to review, remember the electron configurations. In the first energy level, we only had that S sublevel, right? And it could only hold 2 electrons. So in the first energy level, we can only hold 2 electrons. Our second energy level had both an S and a P, right? And it could hold, so we have a 2 plus 6, so that means we can hold 8 electrons. Our third energy level has that S, P, D, and F, so it can hold 18 electrons. And we're going to talk about it getting a little weird in a second, so we're going to come back to this. I'm going to star that so we remember to come back to it. And finishing off, excuse me, that doesn't have an F there. Let's try that again, huh? SPD, all right. And that holds 18 electrons. And then our fourth energy level, S, P, D, and F, all those sublevels, and that's 32 electrons. Now the issue is, like, some weird stuff starts to happen. And if you remember in our electron configurations, we went from 4s to 3d. So it started shoving them back in there. So we actually will not probably use the Bohr diagram. So there's some limitations of Bohr. Sorry to blow that up. All right, limitation. It really only works well to calcium. All right, but hopefully that'll give us enough of a kind of an overview to help us figure out the valence electrons, which is what our end goal is. So what we do with how to do our Bohr model, it's very, very simple. The first thing that we do is we find protons, neutrons, and electrons. We do that by, remember right now, our protons and electrons are the same, right? And these are our atomic numbers. All right, and then remember to find neutrons, we take mass number minus protons, okay? Then we put our protons and neutrons in the center. Then we put an E, the electrons in the energy levels around the nucleus, and those specific ones that we have. And then the last energy level, the outer energy level, whichever one it is for each element, is all we've got. So let's see if we can't do a couple of examples. So I'm going to start us with carbon 12, a fairly simple one. All right, so we look at carbon 12. We know that the atomic number of carbon, maybe we don't, but we will, carbon is 6. So that means it has 6 protons. So we're just going to draw a little circle here. All right, and inside that circle we have 6 protons and 6 neutrons. And I got 6 neutrons because I took 12 minus 6, and that gave me 6. Now we're going to put them in the energy levels. And remember, we said the first energy level can only hold, boop, going back out, 2 electrons. So that first energy level can only hold 2 electrons. So there's my first energy level. And I'm going to just put 2 electrons in there. You can signify them by either X's or dots or kind of however you want to live your life. All right. So that means I have 4 left to place because it has 6, right? Because it has the same number of protons and electrons. All right. And so I need to put 4 out there. And officially, remember, our electrons don't like to be paired up unless absolutely possible or absolutely necessary. So that's what we do. So if we look, now that's our valence shell. So our outer shell, boop, boop, boop. That's a huge one. All right. These ones that I highlighted are valence electrons. So the highlighting means valence electrons. All right. They're the ones that are involved in bonding. So carbon has 4 valence electrons. These 2 in the middle here, I'm going to circle them in a different color. These 2 right here are not valence electrons. They would be considered core electrons. All right. Core electrons. All right. So let's do one more example. All right. We've got Na23. So I look to the periodic table. I see Na has 11 protons. So we'll make our circle here. That was a rough circle. Let's try to make it a little better. There we go. Awesome. So inside we have 11 protons and we have 12 neutrons. And I got that by taking 23 minus 11. All right. In the first energy level, it still always only holds 2. So we'll put that. Now in the next energy level, we can hold up to 8, right? So if we put that out there, we put our 8 in. And again, if we put them in singly and then double them up first, that might be the best way to do it. I kind of messed that up with that first one, but you get the gist. All right. And then we have one more circle here. There we go. And so we've placed 10. So we have 1 left to place. So I put that one right there. And maybe blow this, shrink this down a little bit. That one is our valence electron. So this one right here is our valence electron. And that's how we're going to do it. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. See you next time.